People are using them because it's something you could just put in your pocket, just take it out whenever, and then just take a puff and put it away. It's something that people are creating these habits and they need it just to function normally now.
And when we start digging into why, we find that students are vaping and the side effects that are happening because of it affects them academically. So at the end of the day, it has multiple effects. Welcome, family, to today's episode. We're very excited that you joined us today. For today's episode, we have a very important guest speaker, which is Hugo Aquino. I'll give him a moment to introduce himself.
Hey guys, hey families, hey everyone. My name is Hugo Aquino, like Dr. Martinez mentioned. By background, to give you guys a little bit of information of who I am, I've been working in the education field for over 7 years now, working as a teacher assistant, after school program leader, parent coordinator, and now being part of the team here at the district with the substance abuse prevention program that we have going on. Definitely excited. By background, I also have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, minor in business, and overall, the initial path was going into law enforcement, but I decided to pursue a path more in education, continuing this because I want to continue impacting our youth. So I'm happy to be here. I'm excited to be here with you guys and yourself, Dr. Martinez.
Thank you. And one of the things that you didn't mention is your training that you continue to receive through the DEA, Drug Enforcement Agency. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it was an awesome experience being able to work with the DEA, specifically them, because they focus a lot more on the drug area, drug prevention measures as well. So I did attend a Citizen Academy with them. It was about 8-week program, so it was a lot of information that was given to us about what they do in our community and overall just things that are currently up and coming and trending that are harming our youth. So definitely feel very blessed to be able to attend something like that.
And you also got certified through LACO as a brief
Interventionist, yes, correct, correct. So now I'm able to go ahead and provide some sessions with our youth as well, if needed, to be able to meet with them through that brief intervention counseling course that I took.
So Hugo has the wealth of knowledge that we're very excited that he's here with us today. The goal for this episode, just like all the other episodes that we have, is that we hope you get some valuable experience through us, so you could apply to your home, as a parent, as a family member, because at the end of the day, we want to be able to give you strategies, information, and knowledge on how it can help you and your family be successful in different topics that we talk about. So let's dive into it. So as a substance abuse specialist, which is what you do here for Linwood Unified, what are some trends that you see happening right now within our youth and out in society?
I actually brought some things with me, but the main thing that we're seeing is vapes, electronic cigarettes that are trending a lot through, everywhere, whether it's social media, we're seeing it through the stores. It's something that we're seeing everywhere, and it's just currently trending worldwide. So that's the main thing.
So what is a vape?
Well, with one of these vapes, for example, these are electronic devices that are battery operated, which heats up a liquid, which then inhales, consumer inhales aerosol. And what an aerosol is, basically, it's a lot of small particles that contain chemicals. Some of the chemicals that are found in these vapes are nicotine, diacetyl, and other various chemicals as well that just really harms our lungs, our brain development, so much more. But with vapes, there are two different kinds. I did bring them here to just show to everyone here. With some of the vapes we have that are disposable, like these, pretty much has a certain amount of uses as someone uses it for, then tosses it away. And then we have these that are a lot more expensive. These are, you can change the liquid that goes in here, and these are reusable because they're rechargeable. So there's many different vapes, but these are just some that I wanted to show you guys that's currently trending now.
Wow. So these are, I'm assuming kids have access to these?
So with the access, that is something that we're seeing. There's maybe some stores that aren't enforcing the age verification because they have to be 21 and older in order for them to even purchase these things. But with the enforcement level of it, there are some stores, unfortunately, that are not doing that. They're not checking verification of age, like I mentioned. So they can purchase something like this, or even online. Online, it's so easy to just say you're 21 and over, just click that and bypass that age verification. So we are seeing youth get a hold of these things through those methods. And like I said, it's just because it looks appealing, colorful, right? You have, what is this, blueberry ice, does not mean that it's harmless.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
So can we talk about that? Like, what are some of the harmful effects of vaping and the liquid that goes into that?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, there's nicotine. Nicotine is something that's found in tobacco products. It's also found in these vapes. And what the only difference is that, with cigarettes, a certain amount of nicotine that's in each cigarette. But when it comes to these vapes, you really don't know how much nicotine is in them, how much someone is inhaling, because it's just a device that looks colorful, a flavor that it has, and that's it. So nicotine to start off is an addictive chemical that really just targets the brain, and over time just creates a more and more addiction towards wanting something. Other than that, like the flavorings, diacetyl, that's something that really does cause inflammation, scarring in the lungs. So those are just some of the things, and other chemicals as well that are found in these vapes.
So why do you think kids think that these are cool? Because I've heard that. A lot of kids think these are cool things to do.
Yeah, well, let's look at this one, for example. This one's a geek bar here. This one's actually a digital one, right? So just that itself, that looks pretty cool, right? This is baby blue. This is what his flavors is, blue raz ice. So the name itself sounds pretty popping, pretty exciting to kind of see what flavor it might be combining what they do. So this, you can actually change the levels of nicotine as well. So like for instance, this is one mode, and then this is another one. So showing it here, right? You can change the modes of these, but just the way it looks, the way they present it really creates that attractiveness towards users wanting to try it. And also the fruit flavors. They have fruit flavors from mango, strawberry, they have vanilla, sweet flavors, and so many other kinds that just creates that curiosity for someone to want to try it.
Yeah.
And if that's what they smell and taste, it's a lot easier for someone to transition into something like this if they're already consuming it on an everyday basis or whatever the case may be there.
And let's talk about, like, how is this promoted? Why kids think it might be cool? Like, if they see it in videos and entertainers, like the way it's advertised.
Right.
Like, talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, with social media is continuously growing. I mean, I have a younger sibling who's 9 years old who's already on social media, already scrolling through TikTok and YouTube and navigating through that. And the thing is, we're growing up. Well, our youth, our adolescents are growing up in a digital world where they're seeing influencers now impacting the world differently. They're educating the youth now. And with that said, if they find someone that they look up to, using some of these vapes, then that's just promoting more of the, how can you say it? the atmosphere of wanting to do it as well, right? For them, because they're learning from this person, they trust this person, and just that trust that's being built through the digital world creates that open door for them to want to try one of these things. So the influences, although maybe some of these influencers don't mean bad, they mean well. They themselves are going through their own things, and they themselves aren't informed of the harmful effects these things can cause.
Yeah. So let me ask you this question. So let's say you talked briefly about the dangers of it health-wise. Would you say this is like a gateway, like an opener to other drugs? And how does that look?
Yeah, absolutely. When it comes to tolerance, right, we talk about other types of drugs that we've seen too, whether it's tobacco, alcohol, other things, right? It always starts off with maybe trying a small amount, right? And the same things with these vapes. We try a small amount, and then over time, what's created is that tolerance. It just gets stronger and stronger, where the same thing that the user tries in the beginning is not hitting them, giving them that same high or that same release of dopamine, of those happy emotional feelings. So they just need something stronger. And that's just the way the body functions. Like if they're not receiving that positive energy feeling going through their body, they just want to try something which can lead and open a gateway towards other drugs that are much stronger. But those other drugs, of course, they also have their own harmful effects of it, their own ways of just affecting health overall.
Yeah. What are some of those drugs that it might lead to?
There's many different. There's opioids, which can lead to ecstasy, right? Fentanyl, marijuana. There's other different kind of drugs out there on the market that people can get a hold of. There is a black market. There's people selling them online. All these different things using emojis to this, to hide the kind of drugs that they're selling. But it can lead to anything like that.
Out of all the drugs that are out there right now, would you say that that the vaping has been the most promoted way to start the drug use in a person, like the introduction of vaping?
Yeah, so with these vapes, they actually started coming in the early 2000s, around 2007 when we started seeing a lot of these vapes started to look like just regular cigarettes, right? And over time, they just changed the look of it, right? We have vapes that look like these, the one that I just mentioned, a digital one. There's some that are very simple and plain, some that are very, sleek looking, clean looking. And this is something that's worth billions right now. Last time I checked, it was about 27 billion that this industry was valued at, and it's been less than 20 years that they've been out. So with that said, it's being just promoted and advertised everywhere. Whether it's social media, at the liquor stores, regular 7-Eleven stores, we're seeing them on the streets when we're walking by our community. We see them. People are using them because it's something you could just put in your pocket, just take it out whenever, and then just take a puff and put it away. It's something that people are creating these habits and they need it just to function normally now.
So are these legal to use?
These are legal in California. However, there is an age restriction.
Okay.
You have to be 21 or over to even purchase these devices.
Okay.
Anyone under the age of 21 cannot. It's prohibited for them to buy and purchase these from stores or anywhere online.
Okay, that's good to know. So we can shift the conversation a little bit to how vaping affects a student, because we are a school district and we want to make sure that we connect that to how does it affect students, like how do their performance, their academic achievement, like what are some of the side effects that you've seen as a specialist for students that do vape?
Yeah, attention, learning, memory, those are really one of the main points of brain development, right? With adolescent, the brain doesn't stop developing to the mid 20s. So when someone introduces chemicals already at such an early age, well, they're already messing with the brain chemistry of how they learn something, how they pay attention to something. And even with that, it can create mood swings as well, where there's days that they feel well, but then there's other days where they feel off. And they need to take a puff of this just to feel normal now. So that's definitely one of the ways that it affects our youth nowadays, just overall their learning experience.
And what I've seen, with the experience as a former principal and different things like that, that their attendance is low. Students have low attendance where they're not able to make it to school because they're tired, or they're not engaged, right, because of everything that you just said. And when we start digging into why, we find that students are vaping, and the side effects that are happening because of it affects them academically.
Right.
So at the end of the day, it has multiple effects. So now shifting to the parenting component. Let's say we have a situation where we think our child might be vaping, or how do I find out if my child is vaping? What do I look for? What should I look for? What are the signs that you think?
Behavior changes is definitely one sign that can lead to potential use. Not necessarily means that they are using, but it's a potential there. Sometimes just like the mood swings part, right? It's a shift of behavior. Grades start academically, they start doing maybe a little bit more poorly on that end. Maybe they're taking constant restroom breaks at the house, or they're there for long periods of time throughout the day, or we're smelling a fragrance that's maybe too sweet. Maybe it's not coming from a fragrance, maybe it's something else we're not familiar with and it's very sweet. That can be all linked to potentially using a vaping device. A lot of these things, though, one of the things that I recommend, and we always recommend when we speak to our parents, is do those check-ins. Those check-ins are very vital, very important, because we get to understand how our youth are doing throughout their day, They have a lot of things that they face during school, outside of school, through social media, right? Through that digital world. So those check-ins as a parent is super important to see and maybe even understand where they're at. And from there, we can take those steps to see if they're vaping or not.
And thank you for bringing that up because I think check-ins as parents, they're really important. But I do think that as the kids get older, like sometimes as parents, we think like, oh, they don't need us as much because they're more independent, right? But what we're finding is I think they need us more than when they were younger. Because when they were younger, they were with physically safe. Like they were being babysat by somebody, hopefully, right? That's the goal. But then as kids get older, now they have the influence of everyone around them. The kids around them, social media now, they have all this information in the tip of their hands with their cell phones. So I really appreciate that you said checking in because as a parent, it's not easy to do. Like I understand that it's not easy to do. And sometimes you fear as a parent that your child is going to not want to talk to you or not want to have a conversation with you, which is probably going to be the case. And I would say that's okay. That's okay because they just need to know that you're there and you are paying attention. So I appreciate you saying that. So what's another way, like let's say that a parent does find that their child is vaping and wants to help them to stop. What are some of the resources that we have as a school district?
Yeah, we have our health collaborative partners. We have our current staff members here at the school district too on each school site with our SEL specialists. We have our case managers that provide resources, links them to the right resources, right, that they need. Our social workers, myself, right, as the substance abuse specialist as well. Whatever the case may be, that whether it's maybe them talking about vaping, maybe they're not doing it, they're just knowing about it and wanting parents to bring those education classes to their school site, parents can come to the schools and ask about it to their admin, to their, counselors, whoever's on site there. Everyone can refer them and send them to the right appropriate personnel. So with resources and help, whether students also needs counseling sessions in that area for support needs, we also have our partners, like I mentioned, that can provide that to our school, to our students in school site or outside as well. So we have that support there. So that's why we always encourage parents, like, hey, go to the school site, let them know what's going on. If you have a concern, bring it up. The school is here to support you. The district is here to support you.
Good. So another question, if let's say I have a younger student, a younger child, and I'm a little worried as a parent that I may be introducing them to something that what if they don't know? Like sometimes as parents we think like, oh no, our child isn't exposed to that. I'm protecting them. But what are the chances of them probably having been exposed already? And what would you tell a parent that has those doubts and those worries?
Chances are high. And the reason I say that is because even if, let's say, their child doesn't use social media, well, when they go to school, they're actually interacting with other kids that might be using social media, that might be coming across things like these, right? Like these devices. So the exposure of it, it's everywhere. It's everywhere through music, through TV shows, through people walking down the street and talking about it, using it as well. So the introduction is already there. One of the things that we always encourage our parents as well is like learn about these things, because when we get to learn about it and we educate ourselves, we're able to also share that knowledge with our youth and talk about it in the best way possible, instead of allowing the outside world educate them and approach them in a way where it can influence them to even do it. So I definitely do encourage, and we always encourage our families, hey, just come to our workshops, learn about it, and share the knowledge.
Yeah. And vaping is one of those things that I think, like in our culture right now, it seems normal.
Right, yeah.
But is it normal? Is it something that?
It's been normalized for
Yeah.
sure, for sure. It has been normalized a lot more because it's so easy to just carry and use at all times. Sometimes people don't even know how many puffs they're taking a day, just because it's just like a regular phone. Someone doesn't, when they take it out, they don't really check how many times they're taking out their phone. They're just using it because it's a daily thing that they need to function, to just overall work, whatever it is they may be using it for. Same thing was with these devices. They've been normalized so much through every platform that people are just carrying it around, talking about it lightly because they see raspberry, blueberry, they see it look appealing, it's nice, colorful, that's it. But in reality, there's much more, right? Studies that have been done of how much harm it can really do to our health and overall brain.
So it's not normal.
So it's not
It's
normal.
not something that we should allow, if possible, whatever we can do to help our youth, anyone that can help not get into the, I don't know what to call it, the trends
The trends,
or
the harmful trends.
the harmful trends, because that's exactly what it is. They're harmful trends that we need to, as educators, speak about. And that's why we're here. That's why we do these podcasts. That's why we do this information, because there's many families that aren't able to make the workshops in person, which we understand. We work as well, and we can't always make all the workshops that our kids' schools offer, which is why we wanted to bring this to your attention, that there are resources. Even our district website has a substance abuse page that you can find resources there on how to help your family, how to just bring awareness. And I'm real big on education, because the more you know, being aware of something gives you a lot more power. Because if you don't know, there's no way you can make change to little things, right? That in the long term, they do offer, a lot of change within your family. And we want the kids to be well. We want our generations to be healthy and successful. So this is a very important topic that we felt parents are asking for, because when we go out there, like we mentioned earlier, Hugo works with our community. He's out there at all the schools, tabling events, providing information to our students, our staff, and our families. And these are things that parents want to hear more of, which is why we're here. One more question. When you're out tabling, giving information to students, how do they take this information?
Something that we do enjoy seeing after interacting with a lot of our kids is that they make their own choices now, where they come to us and they tell us of certain decisions that they've made, whether it's staying away from certain friend groups now that they've seen use it, or stayed away from certain areas that they've seen people use it as well. And that just helps us see that what we're doing when we're tabling out there really is making a difference, even if it's one student at a time. That's the whole goal.
That's great. You're educating them. Good. That's powerful. So one more topic that I would want to briefly talk about is parent guilt, because we see it all the time. It's real. Parent guilt is real. And what would you tell a parent that might feel guilty if their child is vaping? Because a lot of times we think, what did I do? What did I do wrong? What did I not do right, for my child to be vaping? So can you talk a little bit on what you think on that perspective?
I personally feel at that moment, yes, I can understand why someone might feel like that, but it's okay. At the end of the day, things happen. There are things that maybe occurred that caused something. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's your fault. There's other stuff that's there, but one thing I would say is definitely ask for help. Seek for help to have that guidance there, because in the end, there's just so many factors that play that role towards maybe someone using it. Right, the outside factors. As a parent, whether they could probably be working, they can be doing all these things that they have to take care of at home. There's so much that a parent does, and I know personally, because I grew up with my parents. Both of my parents, my dad would always be working. My mom would always help my dad work as well at home. A couple of things he had to take care of, and also do home cleaning, and at the same time take me to school. And there's just so much that a parent has to do, where as a parent, I don't. That blame shouldn't be there. I'm not a parent myself, but putting myself in that position, I feel that we need to understand and give ourselves that room to breathe, that we're only human and we can only do so much. And that whatever happens, the outlook that should be is, how do we find a solution towards navigating this in a better manner?
Yeah.
But I
Thank
don't know
you.
if you have opinions as well.
Yeah, I do appreciate that, because I think as parents, just hearing it, I think helps us remember that we can't control our children 24/7.
Right.
They have the time they're away from home at school, and like you said, they have access to other students that may be brought up differently than you're bringing your child up. So just being open, just being aware that, culturally there's a lot out there right now. There's a lot of information for our kids. Even though it's real and it's hard to not feel that guilt, it will happen. But I like the fact that you're saying is, how do we move forward to resolve it? Right? Or how do I at least try? And I think knowledge and getting information will help us make better decisions as parents.
Of course.
So we want to thank you for that. So before we finish, I do want to talk about a little bit about some data.
Okay.
According to the Drug Enforcement Agency, in 2024, about 5.9% of middle and high school students reporting already using e-cigarettes. It did go down from 7.7% in 2023. And then a lot significantly lower than 2019 when it was over 20% of youth. So it is there is a goal to bring knowledge and information so we could bring that number down. But even though that number is going down, there's still about 26.3% of youth in the United States that report daily usage. So even though they've tried it, there's still a big number of youth that still use it every day.
Right.
So that's why our campaign continues to bring knowledge and awareness to our students. So with that being said, we want to remind everyone that if you want any resources, please go to your local school. They know what to do. They know how to refer you to the Health Collaborative. If you just want more information, please look at our website. Mr. Hugo Aquino and Mr. Hector Bañuelos, who will also do another podcast with us. They work throughout the district to provide information to our students, family, and staff regarding substance abuse awareness. So please reach out. There's resources out there, and we're here to support you. We care about you. We care about your children's well-being. So with that being said, thank you for joining us today in this episode, and we hope you enjoyed it.